we good to go?
We're good to go.
Okay.
The red light is on. Welcome to the Broker Loaded Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
This is a podcast all about real estate. Real talk about real estate, in fact. And we are real estate professionals. My name's Kurt Studley. I'm a realtor.
My name's Dan Grimes, and I'm a broker.
He's a broker.
Means nothing.
Every time he brings this up.
No.
Every damn time.
No, it means nothing.
We talk about real estate on this podcast, and today it's going to be a great day because we're talking about the C word, and by C word we mean commission.
Commission.
Right?
Yeah, it's been a big week.
Listen,
that topic.
You talk about the ever evolving world of real estate. Well, it's been an eventful week here. We've seen one real estate brokerage close its doors.
Yeah, we have, and they were going to be a significant portion of the podcast today.
Yes, and then that happened, and then another one popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, which was kind of a surprise. I guess they've rebranded the original URL.
Yes, so we'll get into that. So our mission today is to outline the different types of commission models that are out there, different types of real estate brokerages that provide different types of commission models, and how that all works and how it applies to you, the consumer, and you, the realtor, depending on who you are and listening to this podcast.
Brokerage and what your business model looks like.
Right.
Really just want to inform the public, in this particular case, home sellers, of the many different options that they have these days. And it has certainly changed over the last 2 years through the course of COVID.
No question about that. Okay, so different models we're going to talk about. The first one, let's do the one that just is about to disappear, and it's called Fair Square.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say they have disappeared. We didn't. We originally thought when they put up a notice saying not accepting any new business
this week,
we didn't quite know what that meant. And of course, they still are members of our board, and they still have active listings out there.
Yes,
so we wanted to get the information right out of the horse's mouth, so to speak. So as some of you may or may not know, the Desjardins Group, the financial arm, bought the Proprio, and under that umbrella, was included in it was Purple Brick that they rebranded as Fair Square.
Right.
So as of yesterday late afternoon, the employees and all their advisors
earlier this week, because you can't reference yesterday. Earlier this week.
Well, no, yes, but I'm talking about the employees who hadn't been notified, and the employees were officially notified that it was closing down
on Thursday of this week.
Thursday of this week.
They were notified that
by email yesterday that it was officially
Thursday.
It was no longer.
Right. So, what happens to the people who've listed with Fair Square?
Well, I guess by the looks of it, or the right thing to do, would be just to let either them out of their listing agreements, which I'm sure they would do,
right,
or just carry on and finish up business until the properties are either sold or they expire. Or, I guess it'll be up to...
Or the client moves on to somebody else.
Or the client moves on to somebody else.
They have that option.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm assuming they've been given that option.
Okay, let's talk about how Fair Square operated when it did operate in its previous form.
Yeah.
How they operated when it came to what they charged consumers to sell homes and what the commission example was in this case.
Yeah. Now, well, a couple of comments on that, because most of the realtors still refer to Fair Square as a private for sale, what we refer to as a FSBO, FSBO, which stands for by sell by owner. Mm-hmm. Essentially, they weren't, though, according to the information on their website.
No.
They appeared to be offering full service.
Yes.
In reality, though, it could be questioned because you weren't dealing with one realtor per se.
Right.
But in terms of the financial aspect of it, you were paying a $400 or a $4,000 flat fee.
Right.
Upon closing.
Right.
And
$3,999.
$3,999
Right.
if they want to call us out on that.
Right.
Yes. And most of the listings, when I checked, they had 34, 35, 33 of them were all offering 2%, or the sellers were agreeing to pay 2% to a cooperating brokerage.
Now, by cooperating brokerage, let's provide a definition just in case you're not familiar with that term. A cooperating brokerage, let's say Danny has his house for sale. I'm a realtor with a client who's interested in his house. I bring that client in to take a look at the property. We put an offer together. They offer on the property, and the offer's accepted, let's say, as an example. The buyer and their brokerage and their representative are, that's where the definition comes in. They are the cooperating brokerage.
They are the cooperating.
The buyer's brokerage. The
That's
buyer
right.
and their brokerage, the cooperating brokerage. So that's what that means. And that's what happens when you sell a home. The seller is basically responsible for the payout of commission on both sides.
Yeah.
Both the seller's side and the buyer's side.
Yeah, so whatever the seller and that listing agent agree to, as a total commission, a portion of that is paid out to the cooperating broker.
Right. And that percentage is determined at some point, whatever the seller agrees to pay.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Right. And in most cases, recently, certainly during recent times, it's 2% of the purchase price.
Yeah, it's becoming the norm. We've seen a lot more of that, certainly, and it will become the norm.
Yes.
I mean, if it's not already,
Yeah.
it will be over the next short period of time.
So with Fair Square, here's what it would have cost you, and they're not accepting any new business currently.
No.
It would have cost you $3,999 as a flat fee, plus the payout to the cooperating brokerage, which in most cases was 2%. So $4,000 plus 2% of the purchase price of the home you're trying to sell.
Yeah, in the example we use, if it's a $500,000 townhome, it'd cost you, what's that, $14,000 plus HST?
Yes, in total.
In total.
4 plus 10 plus HST.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's Fair Square, but as mentioned, they basically shut their doors this week as far as we know. They're not accepting any new business. We'll see how that evolves, and we'll be monitoring that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Also, everything that we're talking about today is public information. I just want to qualify that because some of the realtors out there might be thinking, oh, geez, they're talking about commission.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is public, and all the information that we're gaining, that we're talking about today, is off everybody's website. So it's nothing that is secretive or that can't be found out just by simply going to their websites.
Another platform that we're going to discuss today, which has been around for a while, is called Grapevine.
Grapevine Realty.
Right. And that's an actual brokerage.
Yeah, they rebranded as well. Originally, a local brokerage teamed up with a firm called Grapevine Home Marketing,
Right.
who subsequently went out of business.
Uh-huh.
And the owner of the brokerage that they were dealing with had a name change to Grapevine Realty. And
Okay.
they still operate. But they've been around for years and years and years in some format.
Yeah.
For sure.
How does Grapevine operate then? What's the difference?
They've got a number of platforms, but I think they always have been the only brokerage, in my opinion, that offered and still does offer a true for sale by owner. Other than the fact that they'll do a CMA for you, what we call CMA,
Comparative market analysis.
which the public would generally refer to as an appraisal and
I feel
evaluation.
like I'm a dictionary sometimes on this,
Yeah.
I've got to translate what Danny's talking.
Well, but that's what you're there for. Because sometimes I just keep talking, and
Right.
as
So,
we've learned.
Grapevine, for sale by owner, was basically their platform, right?
Yeah, they do offer
FSBO, we like to call that.
Yeah, FSBO, and on their platform for $975,
Right.
you will get on MLS.
Okay.
However, generally you do all the work yourself. You're going to do the open houses, you're going to book the appointments, you're going to negotiate offers directly with either a member of the public or another realtor who brings you an offer. That's
Okay.
truly FSBO. Now, they do have other platforms.
they have other options.
They have other options,
Right.
and that gets you up into a higher price threshold.
Right.
Um,
So the flat fee
yeah.
is $975.
According to the website, $975.
Right.
And
Plus, it's always recommended that you pay out to the cooperating broker.
and their broker's very, very good about that. He does insist, from what I've heard, to pay out at least what would seem to be a fair. Most of it's 2 to 2.5%.
Right.
But he does have, I think, about 50% of their listings. I think they had 17 or 18 when we last checked.
Okay.
Last few days leading
Right.
up to today.
But those are people who take on Grapevine as their brokerage. Those are people who are willing to do most of the work themselves.
That's the FSBO platform. Absolutely.
Right. So you would you can't list the home yourself as a private citizen. You have to be a brokerage or a realtor. So they would list it for you, but you would set up your own showings. If there's a request for someone to see your home, you would set that up.
That's right.
If you were planning to do an open house, you would have to do that all on your own.
You're doing it all. You're doing it
Right?
all on your
And
home.
let's say you get an offer from Danny the realtor, broker. Danny the realtor
Again, means nothing.
comes in with a client, and they send an offer. You're not sending it to Grapevine, the brokerage. You're sending it to the
I
owner?
I think you probably send the offer to Grapevine so they have it on file as to what's going on. I'm assuming that's
Right.
what should be done. But you'd be negotiating directly with that seller.
with the seller themselves,
Absolutely.
not having a trained real estate professional
No.
negotiating.
I mean, it's as close as you can get to 1980 buying a for sale sign in Canadian Tire,
Right.
stapling it to a 2x2 wood post and hammering it in your front lawn.
Putting your phone number on the top there,
Put your phone number on the top.
like you would with your 1978 Duster. Right.
I don't even know what that means.
The Plymouth Duster. You remember the Plymouth
Yeah.
Duster?
Yeah, I remember.
We had a Duster.
Well, yeah, but
It's a nice car.
No, I was a car guy, so I was a Charger. I went
Yeah,
Duster.
that was the upscale, right?
What was a Duster? Was that the one that had the Roadrunner as the logo? Everybody used to
No,
stick on it.
it
What
was similar
that?
to that though, similar style.
Okay.
The Duster.
Yeah, I know.
Not the Roadrunner, but it had something on it. Anyway, my parents bought a brand new Duster. It was nice.
Okay. Well, I thought you got it, so your parents bought it. That
No,
makes more sense.
I never. No, my parents never bought me a car.
Okay.
Nice though.
Either did mine.
So the two examples we've
Yeah.
provided for you so far, Grapevine, which is the basic, FSBO, for sale by owner. You're doing all the work yourself, and Fair Square, which is apparently come and gone. And by the way, Danny Grimes, broker, has probably one of the last pair of Fair Square socks known to man.
There we go.
That's right, Fair Square socks.
Can the
Ladies and gentlemen.
cameraman get a close-up of these?
We don't pay him enough.
Apparently not.
Fair Square socks. So Fair Square,
It's nice to have a gallery.
the $4,000 flat fee plus 2% plus HST. And in Grapevine's case, it's a $975 flat fee, plus you're paying out probably 2% to a cooperating brokerage.
Yeah, half of
But
them
you have
were
to do all the work yourself.
half of them were true FSBOs. I think they had 18. I think 10 of them were offering a penny.
Right. Okay.
And that's an indication that
So
it's a
that's-
true private for sale.
That's two different models when it comes to commission and how it's all paid out.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you want to do with the third one? You want to do cahoots first?
No, let's go.
You want to go with the
Yeah,
one
let's
that just
save that
came?
for last because I think we've all agreed it's the best platform out of the four we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to the fifth.
Okay, so as of Friday morning,
Friday morning.
what's the date? What is the date today?
I have no idea.
17th? Yes. As of Friday morning, the 17th of February, 2023,
Big news.
Unreserved has made its reappearance
Yes.
in the Ottawa real estate landscape. Unreserved. You remember them? Unreserved appeared, what, a year and a half ago? Somewhere
Yeah,
around
probably. Yes, they're using the same URL. So unreserved.com was an auction platform.
Right. Lots of
frankly, I
talk
don't-
about it at the time when they first.
Yeah, you said you must
showed their
remember.
noses.
Frankly, I don't think many people of the public would remember it, but So now the unreserved.com website, from what we can gather this morning, is now being used by Unreserved Realty, which is a member of our board.
Right.
And I know a few of the people there as well.
Right.
And they, for the last week, have had a countdown to their new launch.
Right. You were watching that clock closely, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. I was all set up for it this morning. It went from midnight to 8 o'clock this morning, so that was fine. They launched their website around 8 o'clock this morning. They had been promoting it as a new path to home ownership.
Right.
Obviously, their website's under development because I don't really think it's a new path to home ownership. But if you want to look at their commission plan, which again is advertised, and I'd like to point out, it's nice when the public can go to a website and find out what it's going to cost them to sell their home with that particular brokerage or service.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you go to the unreserved.com website and you click on one of the things you can click on is called Seller's Advantage.
Right.
So can I read it to you?
No.
I'll read it to
Are
you.
we going to pretend I haven't read it yet?
No.
Okay.
Let's see. Take advantage of our free home evaluation service. Realtors provide that.
Everybody does that.
How much your property is worth.
We do it.
Right?
Yeah.
So the seller's advantage in this case is, I'll read it word for word. We've made it our mission to provide you with a dedicated real estate agent who can guide you through the process from start to finish with access to local market expertise and an unbeatable fee of only 1.75% plus the optional buyer agent incentive. Our agents will help you get the best results from your sale. So 1.75% plus optional buyer agent incentive. That is the cooperating brokerage we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
But
Can
they
you read
term
that?
it as...
Just read that. Did they say unbeatable?
let me read it to you again.
Okay. I
With
just want to be
access
clear
to
before I
local
comment.
market expertise and an unbeatable fee of only 1.75% plus optional buyer agent incentive.
Okay. Well, unbeatable 1.75%.
Here's where it gets fun.
Off the top of my head, I can think of no less than 20 brokerages that'll do that for you, and I don't know all of them.
Right.
So it's certainly not unbeatable.
No.
There's brokerages that advertise far less than 1.75. So it's not unbeatable.
No.
In fact, you're talking about if it's 1.75 and if they're going to recommend to the selling office, a commission to the selling office.
Right, the optional buyer agent incentive.
So you're looking at probably they'd be foolish not to recommend a fair, maybe 2% because they have all dropped most of them down to 2% now. So you're looking at 3.75.
Right, in total.
I can find an agent in every office in the city to do that.
Are you saying it's beatable?
I don't even have to get up off the couch to beat it. So, but it is less than probably 20% of the agents in Ottawa would be willing to do it for. So you can pick from the other 80%.
Okay.
There's a lot
I have
of
another question about this.
Yeah.
I love the reference to the optional buyer agent incentive. Is
Well,
that
it
really
is.
optional?
Yeah, it is optional.
So you could say you're not going to pay the buyer's representative and their brokerage?
Yes.
You could.
I could find one. I think there's one or two that I found that are offering a penny or $1.
Right.
And in the remarks, there's no mention of a commission to selling office. I think there's 2 of those in the entire city.
Okay.
So, I mean...
So then that there's my question again. Is it really optional?
Well, in terms of marketing...
Why would I not pay a buyer? Like, is there any advantage to not paying other
I
than
guess
you
if-
think you're going to save yourself a ton of money.
Well, that's a pretty big advantage if you think you're
Is
going
it
to.
though? Because what happens if there's no incentive to the buyer's agent? You know, why would agents get involved in it?
Okay, well, let's take a step back on that comment because, yeah, there has to be an incentive, but under the Act, really, we have to show a property to anybody that we have under contract, correct? But in that contract, it states that they're going to pay us a fee if we don't get paid. So a buyer, if you're going to enforce your buyer agency agreement, and I'm speaking to agents out here or any buyers that have signed one. If you've signed your buyer's agency agreement, agreeing to agreeing to compensate the realtor that you're working with, if you're showing a home that isn't offering a commission to selling office, then the agent has the right to collect their fee from the buyer. Under
Right.
the terms of that contract.
Right.
So if you turn around, and I've always made this argument, if you're going to try and collect off of your buyer, and I frankly haven't heard a story of anybody doing that in years, don't forget if you're dealing with a first-time buyer and you expect to be paid 2%,
Right.
if another brokerage isn't offering you compensation, that's fine. They have the right to do that. But the realtor has the right on a $500,000 transaction to collect that commission, which would be 10 grand, from the buyer under the terms of that contract.
Okay.
What's that do to their down payment?
Right.
Well, there you go. So, in the spirit of cooperation, the business
It's
right
not
across
really an
North
option.
America is always.
It's not really an option. No.
Well, it's an option, but you would.
it's not a
wanna
viable option, Danny.
Yeah.
Am I right? It's not a viable option.
Well, it's an option. It is an option.
I suppose it is.
Well, we got the gallery who's going, okay, it's an option.
Yeah, it's a as far as option goes in the definition of options, I guess it is one.
Anyway,
But it's not going to help you.
no, but we can say that about all of the platforms that we've talked about,
Right. That option exists everywhere.
except with the next option we're going to talk about,
Right. Which is
Cahoots Home Marketing.
Cahoots Home Marketing. Give me some background as to what Cahoots is all about. What is it?
Cahoots, first of all, it's not a brokerage. Okay, it's
That's a
not a
big difference.
brokerage.
Yeah.
And it's not a referral business that refers to realtors.
Okay.
What they do, many members of the public, they don't know a realtor. And what Cahoots has done, and I give you the history after I explain how it works. What Cahoots has done, it's for those people that are looking to save some money, a lot of money, and yet receive, and knowing that they're dealing with a full-service, full-time representative.
Right.
So their plan is very simple. It's 2.9% full commission. They don't try and hide it by going 0.9 plus an optional commission to selling office.
It's 2.9 commission total.
Total plus a $999 fee that's payable to Cahoots. And what they do with that, they handle a little bit of the marketing on behalf of the realtor that the seller gets referred to.
Right.
And they pay for the photograph, the professional photograph shoot.
Right.
Consistency in photographs is very important
Oh my
in the
God,
marketing
yes.
of your home.
So that $999 flat fee covers the cost of photography.
Covers the cost of photography. They present the realtor with a 10-point marketing plan that they have to follow.
Right.
And they follow up every 7 to 10 days with that realtor, making sure that they're following that marketing plan, that 10-step plan. And the 10-step plan's been around for 40 years.
Right.
Actually, it was 8, now it's 10 because of the introduction of the internet. You have more options.
Right. Right.
But they work with about 8 agents from 5 different brokerages. So you're not pegged with one brokerage, one model.
You're set up with an agent.
Yeah, you're set up with an agent. I take referrals from them.
Right.
I was kind of involved at the start. As I've mentioned to you before, there was a social media post out here in Riverside South. There were 3 homeowners that were selling their home.
Right.
And they wanted one realtor to come in and list all 3 homes. But in order to do that, they wanted to negotiate the commission
Okay.
and get a good deal
Fair
for all
enough.
three.
I mean, 3 homes
Three
to sell
homes.
is a lot.
So we got 3. All 3 of them sold, but the upside was 2 out of those 3 also bought homes through myself and my partner at that time.
Right.
So I had no complaints. We got together shortly thereafter and came up with a plan. They were originally going to, it was their idea to start the website.
Uh-huh.
There had been a couple of them like that in Toronto.
Okay.
So they all had full-time jobs. I kind of took it over at one time and ran it with a few other realtors like a co-op. Now it's been passed along, and they're a going concern in Ottawa. They're a going concern. And I think it's about, out of the options we've talked about,
Yeah.
it's the best. 2.9, $9.99, full service, get out of your house on the weekends. Let's go.
So it's you're getting everything you would get with any other brokerage.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we refer out to a couple of people that, they're working in large national franchises.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they're happy to do it.
So
They've all agreed to the compressed fee model.
Right. Right. So it saves the seller some amount of money because the percentage in the end is lower, right? And then the traditional sort of setup.
Yeah, there's a couple other platforms that aren't operating in Ottawa that would be the equivalent, but they're kind of all in-house deals, and you're dealing with just a couple of realtors. Here you deal with, an array of realtors from different brokerages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to get all of their referrals,
Right.
you know.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because a lot of them are selling in order to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's Cahoots. And where do we find Cahoots?
Cahoots, cahoots.ca.
Simple as that.
Yeah, spelt with a K.
Right.
Google it like you can Google any of the other platforms. And if you're interviewing any realtor to get your home sold, of course, either call one of us. We'd be happy to go in there.
I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah. you
Right.
know. And we look at each transaction. Everybody's kind of got a sliding scale on their commission.
Mm-hmm.
Really, though, you know what I haven't mentioned yet, and we'll get into it. The one thing I'd like the public to know, the days of the 5%, they're waning. They're waning. I've been in the business long enough. When I got in the business, it was 6.
When I got in, 9 years ago, the prevailing rate, as I was told to call it, was 5%, right, in total.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah. There was never an average. Because you would never know an average.
No, but the
Because
prevailing
everybody's
rate, and I would say the rate used by most realtors in the city of Ottawa at that time was 5%. But
would
that's no
think
longer
that's-
the case.
No, and the reason we had a couple of inquiries about commissions that kind of led us down the commission route and talking about the options that the public has. Again, all available on all of the websites that we've talked about. But we noticed a decrease in the commission to selling office in the last year. And if once that rate started going down, then we started looking closer at what's happening to commissions.
Now, you may ask yourself, well, why would commissions drop? Well, let's face it. Take a look at the past few years in the city of Ottawa, starting the day we heard about COVID and, going forward about 2 years after that.
Yeah.
The price of houses increased dramatically, in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with percentages as a way to pay your realtor, obviously the increase in price, in the sale price of a home, would mean your percentage at 2.5%, whatever that was,
Yes.
would increase as well because you're working off a percentage. So we had situations where homes were selling rapid fire. So you would list a home and a couple of days later, maybe hours, but in many cases there was a 5-day period. Everybody kind of went with a 5-day period to show the home to the public and then entertain offers. So yes, you would put in the same sort of work, but the time period and the time it took to sell a particular home at an inflated price, because prices were on the rise.
Yeah, very much so.
Meant that realtors were making a whole lot of money in a short period of time for really less work. Fair
Well,
to
I was
say?
going to comment on that. I mean, we looked at a number of homes that sold in the $1 million range as an example.
Right.
We were speaking to some of the realtors as well. So to give you an example, $1 million home, if it sold for $1 million, we're going back a year and maybe up until 7 or 8 months ago, and the commission rate was 5%. And
Right.
it sold. You got 8 offers on the home in the first 48 hours, and the home sold. Well, $50,000 in 48 hours plus HST.
Woo!
So you're
Seems
closing
like
in
a
on
lot.
$60,000.
Seems like a lot.
And I don't begrudge anybody trying to get their 5%. I'm just telling, we're advocates for the public and home sellers. I'm just saying,
Fact of the matter is,
you don't have to pay it anymore.
No, you don't. Are we going to upset those realtors who are still trying to get that 5% by talking about this?
I couldn't care less.
Oh, good.
Couldn't care less.
Right.
It's just
That
a
deserves a
reality
bell.
of the business. And anybody who would be new getting into the business and building a business plan around 5%,
Yeah.
I think they should take a close look at it.
Well,
the other note
It's
I'd
a
like,
competitive industry.
well, of course it is.
Think about it. I often use the example of, like, I'm the type of guy, I don't want to pay full price for anything. I don't know about you.
No.
But I'm going to negotiate. The price of a car, the price of this, the price of that. I want to negotiate. I want to get the best possible price. So,
For sure.
and we often talk about our advice to buyers, home buyers, for example, is to shop around for the best possible mortgage rate and the best possible mortgage scenario, not just the
100%.
rate, but the actual mortgage setup and how it works for you and so on. You should really shop around. Well, why wouldn't you shop around for the best fit for a realtor? Right? And that
Well,
may
right.
include the cost of doing business with that realtor.
For sure. But let's just go back to, the example that we were using of 5%. And those days are, I commented to you yesterday, late afternoon, probably take 24 months. And you said, no, it's not
now.
going to take 24. It's now.
Yeah.
So the person who the realtor out there is going to say, 5%. I always get my 5%. Well, look at it this way. And every realtor in town knows that the commission to selling office is becoming the norm at 2%. When
Right.
you have mid-range brokerages overnight, all of a sudden paying out 2%, that's here. So how much less money is that 5% realtor who keeps trying to get their 5% losing? You take it at 5%,
Right.
you pay out 2.5. So you're retaining 2.5. Is my
Right.
math right?
Right.
Right. You reduce your commission to 4.5, and you're paying out 2%. What are you retaining? 2.5%.
Right.
You haven't lost a nickel.
No.
Get it through your head.
Yeah.
Your 5% days are coming to an end.
Yes.
I'd love to get 5%, but I'm a
Sure.
realist, and I know I go in on a listing appointment. You're going to be competing with great agents, full-time agents, full-service agents that have 10 years experience or more.
Mm-hmm.
Not that those with less than 10 years are any less worthy. But the reality is we're talking about commissions because the public is driving it.
Yes.
They're asking.
And home prices are also driving it.
Oh, of course, home
Right.
prices are driving it. I mean, if home prices go up 30%, like they have,
Right.
what does that mean for commission salaries? They've gone up 30%.
Just like that. In the blink of an eye.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Blink of an eye. So, at the end of the day, if you were to ask me, or if somebody was to ask me, what should I be looking at in a realtor? Well, service, full
Right.
service,
Right.
full time,
Right.
and bring up commission.
Yes.
Commissions are negotiable.
It seems like it's a touchy subject sometimes. Like some people are right on it. They'll bring it up and listen. We have no problem. We'll discuss it with you anytime you want. Matter of fact, we're more likely to bring it up than you. However, don't be afraid to jump in there and start talking about that, because that is definitely a large component of the process.
No, for sure. For sure. And realtors never used to talk about it, or they don't talk about it because there was always that word collusion going around. 25, I think 25 years ago.
Right.
Competition Bureau, just like they're dealing with the price of bread now, the Competition Bureau gets in, they think all the grocery stores are in collusion over a loaf of bread.
Right.
Well, they were worried about that in the real estate industry.
Fair enough.
I don't believe they never had anything to be worried about. Everybody's working under their own models, even in the larger franchise national brokerages.
Yes.
And there's a difference between the national brokerages and the smaller ones we've talked about. All the ones we've talked about openly advertise their commission rates or their fee structures. None of the large brokerages and national franchises do.
No.
And I've been asked about that before. The answer is very simple if you understand the industry from the inside. If you take XYZ National Realty Franchise Brokerage,
Right.
you have to remember that all of the registrants, all of the realtors that are licensed inside that brokerage, they all have different business models.
They're all still independent contractors.
They're independent contractors. Really, they should be able to charge what they want.
Yes.
Most can now.
Yes.
But somehow, many of them are controlled on what they're allowed to pay out commission to selling office.
Right.
But the example I use, if you have one realtor offers excellent service, charges 5%, the guy in the next office or the woman in the next office may provide the identical service at 3.5% or 4%.
Right.
So they don't want them advertising,
No, and it's tough to do with
And
a
the
large
politics
amount of
inside the office.
a large
I mean-
amount of realtors within the same brokerage is tough to do.
And that makes sense,
Right.
100%.
You want to
That's fair.
advertise your service and the product and the brand, but
Yeah.
you can't really advertise because there's differences in the strategies and setups of the independent contractors within that brand.
100%.
Fair enough.
100%. And the ones that we didn't talk about, just the regular brokerages, you call
Right,
them.
right. Well, so we talked about Fair Square, hence the socks.
Yeah.
We talked about Grapevine. We talked about the Unreserved. We talked about Cahoots. And then there are the more well-known, I guess you would say, national brands, bigger brands that have been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
And that's where you find a larger amount of agents, for example, in many cases. And they have their own strategies and so on when it comes to commission, right?
Yeah. And the other model in terms of agents that is becoming very popular is the fee per deal model. And you'll find agents, like a lot of agents in our city, are moving to these brokerages that are spread across the province. Some of them, franchises as well. But if a realtor's working inside a brokerage where they're not working on a traditional commission split and giving 30 or 40% back to the brokerage, but they're just being charged on a deal
Right.
per basis.
Right.
Like one woman I talked to this morning, just to confirm, she's a great realtor. She gets charged $350 per end. When I say she makes a deal, the brokerage doesn't take 30 or 40% from her. They take a $350 transaction fee.
Right.
Well, an agent who's like that can certainly be more flexible on their commission that they're able to charge.
Like both of us are with Ottawa Property Group Realty,
That's right.
and we have the ability to be flexible.
We can, because we are on that per deal.
Right.
We get charged a transaction fee.
A flat fee, transaction fee every time we make a deal.
That's right.
Simple as that. So
Yeah.
it allows for more flexibility as we see it.
Yeah.
By the way, you probably see our names and phone numbers. You could call us and talk to us about selling your home or helping
right.
you buy a home.
That's right.
It's quite simple.
We'll post that when we're wrapping up.
Right. But it's there
It's there.
the whole time, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's the whole time. I figured it out
So
from the techie.
let's kind of summarize what we're talking about and the
Okay.
information we want to get across to the general public, to people who are interested in selling and or buying homes.
Okay. Well, in selling, we couldn't have stronger opinions on the fact that the 5% is waning.
Yes.
There's less and less that. Commissions are far more negotiable than that. Now, just a word to the wise, when you're interviewing a realtor, this is a classic because they trained us to do this 30 and 40 years ago. The service sheet.
Oh.
The service sheet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is common. So when a realtor's in and you bring up a possible option of having the commission reduced,
Right.
many of them will still pull out that sheet of services
That the realtor is providing.
that they're included in my commission.
It's
This is
this,
everything that
this.
we're going to do.
Right.
Right. Now, when that happens and you've asked for the commission, I got to get into the camera for this. This is
It's the lean in part.
yeah, it's the lean in. When the realtor pulls out that and puts it in front of you
Yes.
and goes, okay, which one of these services would you like me to cut in order to reduce my services?
Right.
Only one word. There's a one-word answer. None. I don't want you cutting any of those services. I want full service. Let's talk about a reduction in the commission. Because I promise you, there is a realtor that you can interview that will agree to your terms and provide full service, and they are full-time.
Right.
They will provide you everything on that sheet, that items that he's just asked you to remove.
Yeah. Don't
Where do you want me to start?
go down that road of, I'm going to cut services.
Don't get
if
fooled
you're-
by that.
If you're
Don't get
looking
fooled.
for lower commission
No.
rates.
They still use it, though. I still hear that.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. That'll be.
Well, we were trained to say that 40 years ago.
Sure. Not anymore, though. It just doesn't apply, really. Doesn't
Well, no,
apply.
and you've got to remember, the younger generation is behind us. They Google everything. They know. They generally know what they're going to want to pay and what platform they want to use, or a range of commission that they think is acceptable to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and you hear from all the realtors, it's getting tougher. You see all of the big teams now that I never used to see saying, we guarantee the sale of your home, or we'll buy your home. Well, you're looking at
Guaranteed
two.
sale?
Well, yeah, or we'll buy your home if it doesn't sell. You know what I say to that? You're looking at two guys and many other realtors in this city that won't have to buy your home,
Right.
because we'll price it properly,
And
we'll
sell
market
it.
properly, and we'll sell it.
Right. Simple as that.
And I don't know anybody. I know.
like that.
How many homes have I ever heard of that the realtors bought?
I have
Well, they sure don't brag about it.
no, it's not something I'd
But I know I've seen a lot of expiries from those brokerages that say they guarantee the sale of their home. So
Right.
I'm wondering why they didn't buy
Yeah.
them rather than let them expire.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you just buy them out
Is
of
that
the
a
gate?
good point?
It's guaranteed.
And we got the gallery.
Yeah.
Showing like that. That's a good point.
You know what? We're going to keep an eye on what's happening with with Fair Square, and it looks like they're on the way out.
They're done.
It appears that way. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on the unreserved model, which has just come out this week.
Well, it is what it is.
It
It's
is what it is.
1.75%. And they will recommend to a homeowner to offer a commission to a
Sure.
selling office. They got a couple of good experienced realtors in there who I don't think would discourage anybody from doing that.
If you'd like to talk more about how that all works, how the commission structure works, and the process of listing and selling your home,
Yeah.
we're more than open to discussing that with you at any time.
Well, certainly, and we're happy to have anybody who wants to debate the 5% model. As I've said before, the camera is zoomed in on the two of us, but if you zoom out, there's a third chair here.
Right.
There's a third mic here. Actually, we have a fourth mic. We can fit in another chair. But you're more than welcome to come in. We'd love you to come in and sit down and just talk about how you justified that higher fee. And we can compare notes. We certainly have information on many and many of the realtors who are offering less in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Not just us.
No.
No.
By the way, if you'd like to get in touch with us, we have an email address, thebrokerloadedpodcast@gmail.com. You can also call either my phone number, 613-282-6066, or Danny Grimes' phone number.
At 613-552-3727. That's for those of you that are listening and not watching.
Right. Those of you who are watching who could see it,
Yeah.
but if you're listening, you want to hear it.
And where can we be found? They can either watch us on our YouTube channel. You
Right.
can watch us on Facebook.
Right. The Broker Loaded Podcast has a Facebook page.
It does.
Yeah, and we're also on all your favorite places to find podcasts, like Spotify,
The best.
right?
It's my favorite.
Like Apple, like what else?
iHeartRadio,
Yeah.
Amazon.
We're on them all.
We're on them all. So good Saturday morning to you, because this is when this one will be out.
No, is that right?
I think so.
Good.
I'll be working late.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kurt Studley.
I'm Dan Grimes.
You're watching and listening to the Broker Loaded Podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you soon.
See you next time. Thanks.